So I know in the last episode I mentioned things with my son. He's still currently in rehab, physical therapy and all that. And it does look like it will be done, I think, in maybe 4 weeks or something now? Which originally they said anywhere from 4 to 12. So if it's done in 4 weeks, it'll be 5 weeks of rehab before we start doing stuff back at home, getting him back here, which will be quite a blessing. Been kind of stressful and hard to manage work and being there for my son and taking care of the rest of the children and spending time with them as they miss us and they miss their sibling, and things have just been tricky and a lot of emotions and stuff. Very straining, but it will be nice to have everybody back together again next month, hopefully. But yeah, that's still going, so just keep your prayers up. And it does seem there was some good news, it seemed, with some movement in his legs. It seemed to make the doctors happy. I don't know how far that will go necessarily, but it is seeming more and more likely that he'll at least be able to get around to some extent, even without a wheelchair. Although, on that note, too, he has gotten accustomed to driving those things and is really good at it. It's really cool to watch him learn these new skills that he has to do to adapt. So, in the face of everything, there's been some definite highs as well throughout it all. And I can see kind of a light even in this situation if he doesn't get any real use out of his legs again. But yeah, keep praying for him and praying for our family. And and then we can get into our episode. Thanks. Welcome to a new episode of Routes Through Pokemon Adventures. I'm one of your hosts, Shea.
I'm Ruby.
I'm Rosella.
And together we are a family venturing through the Pokemon series of video games, anime, and the Pokemon Adventures manga. Oh, and also with us today is our giant stuffed Eevee.
Eevee.
Is that one yours, Rosella?
Yes.
Right. Not the one that Ruby shares with her friend?
This one I should have confirmed.
That one is there too?
We have two Eevees joining us today.
Eevee's the best.
One of them's not naked, though.
Ah! You're so rude.
I was just stating a fact.
Well, it's better than him calling them pajamas.
And this week, we will be covering 6 episodes of the anime, I believe. They are Wherefore Art Thou Pokemon? Get Along, Little Pokemon. The Mystery Menace. Misty Meets Her Match. Bound for Trouble. And Charizard Chills. And as far as the manga's concerned, we are going through Chapter 66, Punching Poliwrath. Chapter 67, Can You Diglet? That's a joke on Can You Dig It, in case you didn't know. It's a saying of a person. And Chapter 68, Jigglypuff Jive. But before we jump in, let's talk about what's been going on in our other adventures in Pokemon, such as Pokemon Go and Scarlet and Violet and all that fun stuff. So we've watched about 8 episodes of Pokemon Horizons now. Still enjoying it. I like the revelation of the Black Rayquaza, which I believe is the shiny version then, so that's kind of cool that we have a shiny Pokemon. And the whole dot situation's also interesting.
Yeah.
You guys still enjoying?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. And then, finally, Ruby and I, along with Vavai, have ventured further in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, since he sort of caught up. So we found the Titan he had done, while he went and did the Titan Bombardier. And so what was ours? It was the Orthworm? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we got our Orthworm. But then we tackled another Team Star, which was Dark?
I think so, yeah. Because there was Zuru and stuff.
Yeah. And then we tackled another gym. What was that gym? It was the one near the Dark Team Star. I don't remember the name of the town or anything. But it had the guy that wandered off to another town across the desert. So we had to go find him there and then do a little auction thing and go back. But I forget what Pokemon type he was. Water or something? I don't remember.
Was he water?
I don't know. I'm just Just throwing things out. I couldn't remember what he was.
Is he grass?
No, we did grass a while ago. Brassius was
Maybe
grass.
he was water.
Anyway.
I can't get past the grass gym.
I thought you were on the bug gym.
But gym, what's the first gym?
Well, I think we did bug first, but bug or grass could technically... I mean, any of them could really be first, I guess. Anyway, and after that, in Wandering the Desert, we also found another Titan, but this one was a different one depending on the game we were playing. So Vai and I tackled Iron Treads, I think is what his name is. Well, you had to take on...
The stupid Great Tusk.
It wasn't stupid. He's cool looking.
No, he's very stupid.
Why is he stupid?
Because Ruby had a lot of trouble tackling him.
He would kill my Pokemon with one hit.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty tough battle. But we managed. And then we decided to finally go back to school because we hadn't been there in a while, and found out we had all kinds of new classes to take, plus new lessons in the classes we did take all the way up to midterms, so which is not too surprising since we did half the gyms now, so it kind of makes sense. I think we're over half the Titans by this point. I don't remember how many Team Star there are, but I don't think we're quite halfway there. So, yeah. It was a lot of fun, though, finally getting a lot further and everything.
Yeah.
Don't sound too excited. And with Pokemon Go, one thing I'm super excited about is this weekend, there's another Community Day, and it's going to be awesome. Super excited for it. I love Community Days, especially to find some shinies and stuff. And unfortunately for Ruby, she is actually going to be at a tournament of sorts, and probably won't be able to participate because she'll probably be busy competing, which I know is going to be sad for her, so I'm definitely going to make sure that I catch extra
I don't think I need any.
of the Bell
I don't
Sprouts
think I need
that are
any.
coming.
I don't think I need any.
I know you're going to be so sad to miss this Community Day.
I will not. I will not be sad.
I'm going to catch so many. So many.
Also, I probably won't miss all of it. I'll probably be done at like 4 at the latest, so I'll have an hour
Oh, okay.
to not catch Bell Sprouts. I'll be spending my time in a water park. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Alright, and I think that covers pretty much all that's been going on there then. So we can jump into the manga.
It's like nails on a chalkboard.
Okay.
What?
So our first chapter. This is Manga Volume 6, Chapter 66 of Pokemon Adventures. Punching Poliwrath. Blue's sister, who we met before, working at Oak's lab or whatever, is patching up a Wigglytuff with the help of a Chansey. Makes me think she's a Pokemon nurse, like Joy. Because Joy is
It
Chansey.
seems like it. I thought it was a Pokemon nurse at first.
Meanwhile, Professor Oak loses contact with Misty, Brock, and Erica, who all have to defend their towns from attacks brought on by the Elite Four. Remember, last time the Elite Four launched their attacks at the Gym Leaders of Justice towns. We see Misty specifically trying to wash away the attacking Gengar with Goldeen, but there are just too many. Apparently, the granddaughter's name is May, by the way. Blue's sister.
Yeah.
Anyway, the girl asks where Yellow is, and Oak explains that Yellow went to get help from Blaine and head to Cerise Island. They assume the defenses are sparse since 3 of the Elite Four must be on the mainland to launch their attacks. Then we cut to Blaine and Blue chatting with Koga, Lieutenant Surge, and Sabrina in the cave entrance they took to get into Cerise Island.
Chatting. Just having a little chat.
Yeah, they were all surprised to find them there. It turns out Lance and Lorelei are on Cerise Island as well and know that the others have arrived. Lance seems unconcerned and wants to know where Bruno is, and we find out he's looking for Red to finish their battle. Lorelei is told to summon him back to the island. In the meantime, we get Bruno remembering his match with Red. Both Red and Bruno were excited for the challenges the other provided. Hitmonlee takes out Pika, and then Poliwrath goes up against Hitmonchan and does well until a Thunder Punch knocks him out. Turns out he distracted Red and Poliwrath with the continued use of Fire Punch while charging up the Thunder Punch. Red's impressed. Then he calls out Gyarados, and Bruno has Onix. Somewhere nearby on the mountain, Agatha and Lorelei watch. Did I cover that pretty well there, Rosella?
Yes.
So then we have chapter 67. Can you Diglett? So we get a flashback to when Lorelai was a little girl with her seal. So I think we're in like a flashback of a flashback now. I think that's where we're at. Because this is... Lorelai's having a flashback while watching the Bruno Red match, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, a flashback within a flashback. So, yeah, we get a flashback to when Lorelai was a little girl with her seal, or dugong, near the power plant. The construction of the plant pollutes the environment and made Lorelai's Pokemon sick. But Agatha has Ghastly, who likes the poisonous air and sucks the poison from seal dugong. I don't remember. Is it a seal or dugong? I can't tell.
It has a little horn.
I think they both have a horn.
It definitely looks like a seal, and it
Okay.
would make sense since she's a little girl.
That does make sense. Alright. So then she recognizes Lorelai is upset with the land being hurt that has caused problems for her Pokemon, and offers Lorelai to join her as a cohort. You know, this is kind of weird. So, like, they obviously have troubles with people polluting the world because it's hurting the Pokemon. Like, that whole thing is get rid of all humans because they're ruining Pokemon's lives. But, like, the poison stuff is good for some of them because Ghastly likes it.
Well, yeah.
See, so, I don't know. And arguably, some of these Pokemon and the description stuff are created by some of the stuff that happens in the world. So, just interesting. Food for thought. Alright. Not that I'm saying we should pollute the world, just to be clear.
Pollution, yeah, it rocks.
Yeah. Then she recognizes... Oh, no, I read that. No. So then we're back to Lorelai and Agatha watching the Bruno Red battle. Bruno vanishes underground with Onyx, and so Red sends Gyarados away to rest and pulls out Venusaur, who layers vines all over the ground, kind of like a web, to detect where Onyx comes from. The vines wrap around Onyx, and a battle of strength and a tug-of-war begins. But that was a distraction, and Onyx's tail comes up from behind, and Venusaur and Red fall down into Onyx's tunnel. Onyx charges forward, and Venusaur braces for impact, but then Bruno stops short and tells Red to pause. They let a bunch of Diglett go by, saying, Diglett dig, Diglett dig, trio, trio, trio.
Dig.
Trio, trio, trio. And we see another Pokedex entry that tells us Onyx tunnels are a favorite of Diglett's, or something to that effect. Then Bruno explains that the Diglett hang out in them, eventually turn into Dugtrio, and they till the earth, allowing greenery to grow. So we saw the result of man with the factory and learned the natural way the natural world is taken care of by Pokemon. Then the two agree to continue the battle, but suddenly Bruno drops to his knees, and laughter echoes from down a tunnel. Lorelai and Agatha arrive. Then they explain that Bruno's lesson is wasted because humans will never listen and continue to develop and cause Onyx to go extinct, which in turn would lead to the extinction of Diglett and Dugtrio, and then plant life. They think most humans and Pokemon cannot coexist, and only a few trainers can, which they're probably referring to themselves then. Then they reveal that they have the badge amplifier. They show off the center spot and mention that Red was the last one to see Giovanni. That was the reason they lured him up into the mountains to battle. They want the Earth badge to complete the amplifier. Dun dun dun. So then, chapter 68, Jigglypuff Jive.
Yeah, I love Jigglypuff.
Red realizes they've done something to Bruno, and he wants to help him, but he is at a disadvantage. He needs to get out of the confined tunnels, and so he unleashes Aerodactyl on his back, just like when he was facing Giovanni, and he flies up to get out of the hole. But before he can get out, Lorelai unleashes Jinx, who grabs his leg and neck with its hair. He explains that he has no idea where Giovanni went after defeating him and doesn't know where the badge is because after winning, he passed out and was taken care of by people in Viridian City, like that little girl he helped with the Dratini situation. Lorelai believes him and has Jinx slam him into the ground as she explains the second reason they called Red up into the mountains was to recruit him. They'd been watching him for the 2 years after winning the tournament, and Bruno was used to measure his strength. But instead, he pulls out Venusaur, Gyarados, and Snorlax, while Lorelai has Jinx, Agatha has Ghastly, and Bruno, now moving again, has Hitmonlee. Lorelei explains that having a trainer of their level, so Red is a match for them, is dangerous, and he would have done well to join, and Lorelei doesn't ask twice. So 3 Pokemon versus 3 Pokemon, but Lorelei says it won't work out the way Red hopes. Then they give some command of Battle Formation Ice Fighting Ghost. And when the dust settles, all 3 of Red's Pokemon are out cold. Then Jinx forms an ice voodoo doll of Red that Lorelei uses a marker on to write X's on its wrist and ankles. Then large ice snowflake cuffs appear on the real Red's wrist and ankles. Then Lorelei remembers that Red has Pika as well, and so forms an ice voodoo doll of him, too, and draws on it. They then cover the cave in a mist of illusion and leave Bruno to finish Red off.
If I was Bruno, I would leave. They're being mean to him.
Well, Bruno's acting a little weird, remember?
Because they're being...
Remember, he's being controlled.
But he is?
Yeah, they have a way of controlling him. That's why Bruno dropped to his knees and shut down for a bit, and then is acting weird when he sent out Hitmonlee.
Oh. Okay.
Alright. So then they cover the cave in a mist of illusion and leave Bruno to finish Red off. Red tries to talk to Bruno and tell him he's being controlled, but Bruno doesn't respond. Pika tries to get free of the ice constraints and is kicked by Hitmonlee. Then Hitmonlee beats the crap out of Red and sends him to fall down a pit. Red catches himself, but the constraints are icing over his hands and feet now. He tells Pika to run before he freezes up. He wants Pika to hurry someplace warm to melt the ice and then warn Professor Oak about the Elite Four's plans for the human race. Then Red falls, and as he gets up, he wonders how Pika can even succeed since he can't speak human words. If only there were a trainer that could read his mind, is Red's last thought before he is completely encased in ice. That covers the manga. Alright, time for part 2 of our yellow Pokedex. Number 27, Sandshrew, mouse Pokemon. Its body is dry. When it gets cold at night, its hide is said to become coated with a fine dew.
Number 28, Sandslash, mouse Pokemon. It is skilled at slashing enemies with its claws. If broken, they start to grow back in a day.
Number 29, Nidoran, female, poison pin Pokemon. A mild-mannered Pokemon that does not like to fight. Beware, its small horns secrete venom.
Number 30, Nidorina, poison pin Pokemon. When resting deep in its burrow, its thorns always retract. This is proof that it is relaxed.
Number 31, Nidoqueen, drill Pokemon. Tough scales cover the sturdy body of this Pokemon. It appears that the scales grow in cycles.
Number 32, Nidoran, male, poison pin Pokemon. Its large ears are always kept upright. If it senses danger, it will attack with a poisonous sting. So different than the Nidoran female.
Number 33, Nidorino, poison pin Pokemon. Its horns contain venom. If they are stabbed into an enemy, the impact makes the poison leak out.
Number 34, Nidoking, drill Pokemon. Its steel-like hide adds to its powerful tackle. Its horns are so hard they can pierce a diamond.
That's impressive.
But I've got thick skull, so they can't pierce it.
This one will be interesting in relation to the story at the end of the episode. Number 35, Clefairy, fairy Pokemon. Adored for their cute looks and playfulness, they are thought to be rare, as they do not appear often.
Number 36, Clefable, fairy Pokemon. They appear to be very protective of their own world. It is a kind of fairy rarely seen by people.
Number 37, Vulpix, fox Pokemon. Both its fur and its tails are beautiful. As it grows, the tails split and form more tails.
To make number 38, Ninetales, fox Pokemon. According to an enduring legend, 9 noble saints were united and reincarnated this Pokemon as this Pokemon.
Number 39, Jigglypuff, balloon Pokemon. Uses its alluring eyes to enrapture its foe. It then sings a pleasing melody that lulls the foe to sleep.
Number 40, Wigglytuff, balloon Pokemon. Its body is full of elasticity. By inhaling deep, it can continue to inflate itself without limit.
Number 41, Zubat, bat Pokemon. Emits ultrasonic cries while it flies. They act as a sonar used to check for objects in its way.
Number 42, Golbat, bat Pokemon. It attacks in a stealthy manner. Without warning, its sharp fangs are used to bite and suck blood.
Whoa, it's like a vampire. Number 43, Oddish, weed Pokemon. It may be mistaken for a clump of weeds. If you try to yank it out of the ground, it shrieks horribly. Kind of like the mandrakes from Harry Potter.
Number 44, Gloom, weed Pokemon. Smells incredibly foul. However, around 1 out of 1,000 people enjoy sniffing its nose-bending stink.
Sounds about right. It's kind of like with skunks. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, skunk smell, it's terrible. And, like, I don't necessarily think it smells good, but I'm like, I think it smells curious. And I do take a couple whiffs of it when I'm like, that's so unusual. So I imagine that's kind of the Gloom situation. Number 45, Vileplume, flower Pokemon. Flaps its broad flower petals to scatter its poisonous pollen. The flapping sound is very loud. No pollen, please. Ew. It's already bugging me as it is.
Number 46, Paris, mushroom Pokemon. Burrows under the ground to gnaw on tree roots. The mushrooms on its back absorb most of the nutrition.
Paris.
I'm about to say Paris.
Number 47, Parasect, mushroom Pokemon. The bug host is drained of energy by the mushrooms on its back. They appear to do all the thinking.
Number 48, Venonat, insect Pokemon. So not bug Pokemon, insect. Its large eyes act as radars in a bright place. You can see that they are clusters of many tiny eyes. Insects aren't exactly.
Yes, they are. And it doesn't even make sense to call him an insect Pokemon since he doesn't have 6 legs.
He's got 6 eyes that make 1 eye.
No, he doesn't. He has fly-like eyes where they're just like a ton of like little segmented things or whatever. And he is a bug-type Pokemon. Bug poison. Such a dumb episode. I mean, actually, it was a good episode, but dumb, misty Venonat relations. Number 49, Venomoth, poison moth Pokemon. The powdery scales on its wings are hard to remove. They also contain poison that leaks out on contact.
Number 50, Diglett, mole Pokemon. It prefers dark places. It spends most of its time underground, though it may pop up in caves. Diglett dig, dig, Diglett dig.
Trio.
Diglett dig, Diglett dig, Diglett dig.
Trio. Number 51, Dugtrio, mole Pokemon. A team of triplets that can burrow over 60 miles per hour. Due to this, some people think it's an earthquake. And that is part 2 of our Yellow Pokedex. Alright, and now for our anime episodes. So we start with Wherefore Art Thou, Pokemon? Which is a play off of a line from Romeo and Juliet. Wherefore art thou, Romeo? What'd you say?
I was about to say wherefore out there.
Oh, gotcha.
Because I knew the line even though I've never seen the movie.
Or read the play where it originated.
I've not ever seen anything about it.
We need to up your Shakespeare intake. Anyway, so the plot here is very Romeo and Juliet-ish, because the plot of Romeo and Juliet, for those of you that don't know, is 2 people from 2 different families.
I know Clive and Juliet.
I didn't say you didn't. But Rosella might not. And other listeners might not. So anyway, the plot of Romeo and Juliet is 2 people, one from the Capulets, Juliet, and one from the Montagues, Romeo. They fall in love, sort of. You could argue if they're actually in love or not. But they want to be together. Those 2 families do not like each other at all. So of course they don't want this to happen. And lots of drama. People die. And it ends in tragedy. It's not a happy ending. Except for, I guess, that the families learn their lesson not to be so hateful towards each other because it costs them too much. So, here, this is involving Pokemon and their owners not liking each other. We first find a girl running around a village, and she's looking for... Well, she's just calling out for Maria, which we learn is her female Nidoran. And apparently, the Nidoran has been running away a lot, which seems suspicious. It would make me be like, well, maybe you're not a very good trainer.
Yeah,
Maybe you're abusive. I don't know.
I thought she would be running away a lot because like she would baby her and make her do tea parties or whatever.
Oh, like I could see that. I was kind of thinking like with the Mr. Mime episode where the circus trainer was like when Ash dressed as Mr. Mime, her training was kind of harsh. If I was Mr. Mime, I'd be like, nope, I'm done. Alright. So Ash and Co decide to help and go calling out for Maria as well. Pikachu gets distracted by some fruit in a tree and has a hilarious moment of edging closer to the fruit while still half-heartedly calling out for Maria. Like, of course he's not saying Maria, but he's just like, Pee-pee! And he, like, calls out, but he's, like, looking around, just getting closer to the tree. Not really trying to find Maria. And then while they're doing this, they meet a boy who's calling out for Tony, who we find out is his missing male Nidoran. Catching any hints here, people?
I caught the hint right away.
Because that Pokemon has also been running away a lot lately. And then the boy sees the girl and calls the girl a kidnapper, and basically they end up claiming each one is jealous of the other one's Nidoran. And then they have a sword fight with sticks, which I thought was kind of fun, especially with the Shakespeare theme around here, because there's usually a sword fight involved and stuff. Then Meryl, Tracy's Pokemon, found something, and the boy and girl excitedly rush off thinking their Pokemon were found, and they were hiding in a bush together and being very friendly to one another. Tony even plucks a rose and gives it to Maria. And this is another interesting point. So, Romeo and Juliet. All of Shakespeare's stuff are plays, okay, from a long time ago. They've been remade and reperformed for forever. And there's been many movies made off of them, and some of them, they even changed the setting and stuff. And one of those movies that's based off of it is called West Side Story, which involves rival gangs in New York, I think. And the main characters in that are not Romeo and Juliet, but Tony and Maria, which is probably why they chose those names for the Nidoran. So I thought that was kind of fun. Anyway, the kids thought the Nidos were really cute, sitting there and, you know, sharing a rose and stuff, but then they realized that it was their rivals Nidoran and that they hate each other. So they get angry and grab their Nidorans and march away. So then Ash and the gang talk to a guy in town and learn that Ralph and Emily, which are the boy and girl's names, have always been catching the same Pokemon all their lives. It was clear in one contest that the Nidos were in love, but they were separated by their owners. I guess we see some flashbacks of them in a contest together with their Pokemon.
And then in one contest they tied.
Yeah, it's the Nidoran one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like the family separating Romeo and Juliet in the original story. Then they find Tony sneak off to Maria's, and Maria is on a balcony, like Romeo and Juliet. A famous scene from Romeo and Juliet, where Juliet is on the balcony, which is where she says her line, "Wherefore art thou?" So Emily pops out and throws water from the balcony onto Tony and calls him Romeo, which I thought was another fun nod to Romeo and Juliet. And it turns out Ralph and Emily are next door neighbors.
But like when she calls him Romeo, I know it's a thing that some people do, and like they just will like call someone Romeo. Like I don't know what an example is, but
when they're trying to be romantic or suave or whatever, yeah. So Misty decides she's going to fix the situation, because love is the most important thing in the world, is what she claims. To which Ash hilariously responds that it couldn't be more important than catching Pokemon. Oh, Ash, you're such a dunce. Oh, that kid can be funny. Meanwhile, Team Rocket spies on this event and decides to steal the two Nidos. Surprise, surprise. So then we catch up with Misty later, and she's writing love letters to Ralph and Emily to help them see that each one loves the other person. And I thought this was super interesting, because this same plot device is used in a different Shakespeare play called Much Ado About Nothing, where two people are very angry at each other, and so their friends conspire to write love letters to the two of them from the other person. It's a funny story. It's one of my favorites of Shakespeare. It does not end in tragedy, like some of his others. like Romeo and Juliet and
I'm never
Hamlet.
gonna watch the ones that end in tragedy.
Oh no, you should watch those two. They're good.
No, I don't want a sad ending. I feel so uncompleted.
So Misty is sure Ralph and Emily are in love, and Casey tries to say it's just like Ash and Misty, and they freak out and think he's crazy. So I don't think we've gotten a whole lot of hints to the whole possible Ash and Misty situation until now. Like, they've always been, like, traveling and bickering, but I don't know if anybody's ever suggested that they're... Well, that's not true. Jesse made a comment early on in the Orange Island episodes when they were in the cage after Brock left them, and they're on the airship, and Jesse says something about giving them time alone. Maybe that's why Brock was gone, or something to that effect. I forget what it was. Do you remember that at all?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I remember that.
Okay. Alright. After some talking about how Jessie can't find someone to love her because she's so mean and nasty, they send Meowth to trick the Nidos to run away from their masters to be together, which was just so Team Rocket could kidnap them. But this doesn't work, right?
It didn't work, yeah.
Yeah, Meowth does this whole thing, but they don't buy into it.
Yeah, they're like, no, we're still going to be loyal to our masters.
Yes. So then the next day, Ash and Co. are hiding and waiting for the two kids to show up, and Misty also sent flowers to Emily and an airplane toy to Ralph, but it turns out the girl's allergic to the flowers, and I forget what the boy's problem was with planes. Like, he's scared of flying or something?
No, he's plane sick or whatever.
Oh, he gets airsick?
Airsick, yes.
Got it.
I thought it would just be that, he's like, do you think I'm a little kid or something?
No, there was something else. So, it turned out to be the absolute wrong gifts to give to the other one, which is hilarious. So that blows up in Misty's face, but she's also like, well, I did say that I was just going to get them together, not necessarily romantically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she succeeded in that. So, yeah, there's a big old argument out of that, but then a bride and groom suddenly show up. But it's really just Jessie, who's the groom, of course, with James as the bride, for whatever reason. And then they have a fun little rhyme involving the bride and stuff and kidnapping Pokemon and whatever, because they love to do their little rhymes. And then they rise up on an oversized wedding cake, which then opens up to reveal their hot air balloon.
Which is all like... It has the little cans on strings.
Yes, the can. Yes, that does show up when they start floating away in it with the kidnapped Nidos. There's the cans like you'd put on the cars and stuff when a newlywed couple drives off.
Which actually plays a part in this.
It does, because they follow the cans, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because they started to fall off because James didn't time.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't time very well. So of course they find them. A battle occurs, and the kids start commanding their Nidos to work together to win.
Yep.
So they learn that they're better together than apart and being at each other's throats all the time. Also, interestingly enough, when James calls out Victory Bell this time, it's Jessie for once. I was really surprised by that. I'm like, what the heck? And then James and Jessie fly off and use another vacuum, but Pika uses a branch to have that get sucked up, so he goes flying with it and blocks the vacuum. And then his mischievous grin that he wears when he gets up there is hilarious. Like, he's like, oh yeah, I'm about to do this. And of course they're all panicking, and then, yeah, he zaps them. And then Misty uses Staryu to pop the balloon this time, and they blast off again. Ding! And finally, the kids agree to build a house between their houses for their Nidos. The two Nidorans kiss and suddenly evolve into Nidorino and Nidorina. There's another hint at the whole Misty and Ash being a couple eventually thing, because there was some line they said about if they would learn something by kissing or something like that too.
And then Jessie's like, we'll have to find out. Or someone's like that.
Oh, it wasn't Jessie. Jessie's gone.
Nice. Oh, Misty.
Oh, Misty. Yeah, she says something like that, and I forget. I forget exactly what it is. Ash seems more oblivious. And Misty has the comment though that almost seems to suggest that she is interested in Ash, despite the freak out earlier. And Team Rocket are stuck on bells ringing at the church, while Victory Bell takes the third bell spot, being the bell itself for some reason. And Arbok is in its mouth as it screams back and forth, because Victory Bell has that weird scream.
So that was It wasn't actually a bell. It was just, well, it was victory.
It was victory bell. It was a victory bell.
I hope that's not what victory sounds like.
Alright, so then we have Get Along, Little Pokemon. After being directed toward the close, quote-unquote, Trovita Island by Prima from 2 episodes ago, we had the pit stop for the Nidorans, and now they're trekking across a barren area of another island, and supposedly they're still 3 days walk from getting to Trovita. It's weird that they get told that, oh yeah, it's just right on the corner, and then they still have like a bunch of episodes in between. Oh well. While Misty's whining about it all, a lightning storm rolls in, about the long walk. So when Misty's whining about the long walk, a lightning storm rolls in, and then when lightning is about to strike down, it gets absorbed into a herd of Magnemite instead. And yes, a herd of Magnemite. I really like the concept of this episode. And it just makes me want an Old West setting for a Pokemon Legends game even more than I already did. Because ever since Arceus, I'm like, oh man, if they picked like the Unova region or something, we could maybe do like the American Old West or something.
That would be really...
Right? I'd be totally down. So anyway, Jolteon shows up and starts barking with its Jolteon name or whatever. And then it crackles with energy, and a Tauros-pulled covered wagon arrives with its rider calling everyone in. So calling like Ash and them to come in out of the storm. And the Magnemite also come over, and that's because of Jolteon's electric charge. After the storm clears, the man explains he is a Magnemite rancher, and he calls the Magnemite over with a whistle. He checks their charges, and he chases storms to gather the energy. The Magnemite are all called by numbers, and number 6 has its magnets bent outward. He's the black sheep, supposedly. And then Jolteon is there to round up the Magnemite with its, electrical charges.
Yeah, like a farm dog.
Like a farm dog, a herding dog, exactly. I just love the whole concept of this whole thing.
I really like how they use like a Jolteon as the farm dog.
Well, yeah. The fact that it's Jolteon is a big plus for me as well. But yeah, just chasing storms, using Magnemite to like gather it, but also the Magnemite, I like your herd then, and Jolteon's your herding dog to get it. It's just, I don't know. It's a really cool concept. A very awesome world building that we don't usually get from this. So the Magnemite are also drawn to Pikachu, of course, because he's all charged up with electricity. So yeah, so we have this really cool setting, and we get to see another purpose to Pokemon other than battling, which we haven't really got a ton of.
Yeah.
I mean, that becomes much more of a thing even in the games later on, but at this point, it's not really what we see most of the time. And yeah, so it's just really fun to see them integrated into everyday life sort of stuff. So Team Rocket decide to steal Jolteon, Pikachu, and all those Magnemite. But they also want to harvest the energy the Magnemite are storing and use it to make money. Meanwhile, the nearby city is out of power according to Officer Jenny, and then Joy says all their Magnemite are out of power. And this is all through a video call that eventually cuts out because they're out of power. To add to the problems, the Magnemite float off, which are the, because the rancher was going to use that energy for those towns so that they could have some power. Then Team Rocket arrives on their balloon with their motto and a giant magnet attached to the balloon that has collected all the Magnemite. Then a claw grabs Jolteon and Pikachu, and, of course, it's shockproof. They always have all these shockproof things because they're always chasing Pikachu.
Yep.
So Jolteon is commanded to use Pin Missile, which releases Jolt and Pika from the claw. And I love Pin Missile. It's my little bug move that I use to beat the Elite Four. Well, not the Elite Four. Mostly just the couple Psychic Pokemon, I think.
Wait, is Bug good against Psychic?
Yeah, Bug is good against Psychic. But there's not really a lot of good bug moves in the first gen, so... And Ghost is supposed to be, but it doesn't work in Gen 1, so Psychic was just too powerful in Gen 1. Then Jolteon uses Thunder Wave to draw the Magnemite back from the magnet and everything. Arbok is released and crashes to the ground hilariously. Once Arbok gets back up, he gets the best of Jolteon, so Pika sends them blasting off with a Thunderbolt. During all of this, the rancher got hurt and can't use his one arm very well. So that means he can't get the Magnemite where they need to be. So Ash decides to take the Magnemite there on the back of one of the Tauros that pull the wagon.
Which actually doesn't make a ton of sense. Because he could just put the old man in the cover it up part of it and ride. He could be the one directing the wagon.
I think the idea is it's faster to take just one Tauros and the Magnemite than slowly trot the wagon through, especially since the Tauros can go over areas that the wagon probably wouldn't go over very well.
I suppose that makes sense.
Not that I'm thinking the show actually put a lot of thought into it, but it does. It actually does make sense, even if they didn't think about it. Let's see. During the ride, the Magnemite float off again, and they won't listen to the whistle. So Pika blasts some electricity to draw them back. But number 6, the black sheep one, with the weird bent magnets.
And we were told earlier that number 6 likes to go wandering off.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, when we were introduced to it, he was kind of floating on his own. So yeah, number 6 wandered off, and so Ash has to go looking for him. After he finds him, he is pulled along with the Magnemite, because he grabs onto the Magnemite, towards Team Rocket, who say the first 2 lines of their motto again, and they're using a machine that draws the Pokemon using the power of static electricity. Which means, like, they have, like, this weird little gun that's putting out the static electricity, I think, and it's hooked up to these plastic pieces that James is rubbing back and forth over his head. And I think Jessie's got some that she's rubbing on her clothes or something, I forget.
Yeah, they create static.
Yeah, they're just creating static electricity. And it's just kind of a weird powered machine. So Pika starts drawing them back with his power, but Ash is worried Pika is wearing himself out. Then number 6 tries to help, and eventually evolves into Magneton, which all 3 of those Magnemites that are part of that Magneton also have the weird bent magnets. So Team Rocket sets themselves on fire by rubbing their plastic even harder, creating too much friction, and they are electrified into blasting off twice. That isn't so nice, is what they say as they fly off. Ding. And then Ash, Pika, and the magnets arrive at the town and restore power.
Yay! Yoo-hoo!
Alright, so the next episode, The Mystery Menace. So the group finally sees a city at the edge of the island. They're excited, but Team Rocket is lurking behind some rocks and has set up a trap with explosives that will put a hole in the ground. So instead of digging a hole, they put explosives to open up a hole or something. They must have had to dig a hole still because they had to get the explosives in there. I don't know. Whatever. But when they pull the trigger or do the plunger thing or whatever it is, it doesn't work. Nothing explodes, and then, suddenly, a pit opens up under Team Rocket. And then the same thing happens to Ash and Co. But it doesn't seem it has to do with the explosion. So then the gang finds they're in a tunnel and follows it through, which leads them into the sewers of the city. So there's a jingling bell sound as a silhouette goes by the screen. Then we see a tentacle or something tap on Ash's shoulder, and he thinks it's Pikachu at first. But Pika's in front of him.
And when we see this tentacle, I am thinking that it's for sure a Bulbasaur, Vine with Bulbasaur.
It does kind of resemble that.
I was saying this the whole episode.
You were. The tentacle is coming up out of the water, and since there's water, Ash can't use Pikachu. He was going to, but Misty stops him. So he sends out Bulbasaur instead, who gets wrapped in the tentacle and dragged underneath the water. Ash wants to jump in and save him, but Tracy and Misty won't let him because he'll just get dragged under too. All the commotion is overheard by Officer Jenny, who pulls them out of the sewer from the manhole. Ash wouldn't leave, so they had to tie him up and pull him out. And then we find out they were all put into jail. And they're kind of upset about that. But then Officer Jenny says they're free. But then the mayor shows up and wants them held until next week. He doesn't want the secret of the monster in the sewer getting out, so he forbids them from talking about it when Jenny's like, no, they're free to go. They haven't done anything. And he's all freaking out about it, the mayor is, because he's up for re-election soon, and he doesn't want the monster thing to hurt his chances of getting elected. Because if the people in the city find out there's a monster running amok, and he's not doing anything about it, they're not going to vote for him. Then Nurse Joy shows up and tells them all that the mayor is going to have a SWAT team go into the sewer to destroy the creature instead of capturing it alive. It's also worth noting at this point that the mayor has a symbol like a logo or whatever, on all his posters that are all over town and stuff like that. And under a statue of himself. Because he feels he's that desperate to keep control and keep his position of power. So then after talking with Oak over the video call stuff again, Ash and co. are going to try to find the monster first and save it. Nurse Joy finds a different entrance for the gang to get into the sewers so they won't be caught by the SWAT team. Then we find that Team Rocket is also in the sewer, and they've been in there for a long time. Like, they haven't found their way out like Ash and them did. And then the tentacle shows up again with another little bell jingle. Team Rocket flees. Then some footsteps and a light come from around a corner. They send up wheezing and a smoke screen, and when the gang screams, Team Rocket flees again, because it was just Ash and them coming around the corner with a flashlight. Togepi goes missing, because Misty is always losing the little thing, despite holding it.
Yeah.
But the creature shows up and drags Togepi under after Misty picks it up again, and they get dragged together into the water. Needing a good Pokemon for the sewer, I guess, Ash got Muck and is hugged by him when he wants them to try to find everybody. Muck is very affectionate.
I love Muck.
Only
Partly because
Bellsprout.
Partly because he crushed Bellsprout. But I just love Muck.
You didn't really crush Bellsprout, he smothered Bellsprout.
Yeah, but I'm a little annoyed with Muck because he didn't kill Bellsprout.
Meanwhile, Team Rocket hears the monster, quote-unquote, again, and disguise themselves oddly, and whip around the corner to scare the monster. But instead, it is the SWAT team, with their leader voiced by Brock's actor. So even though Brock's not around, we got to hear him. And then SWAT fires putty guns at Team Rocket, and they flee again. They're running away a lot. Muck tracks down where they needed to go, and so Ash and co. swim into a hidden chamber and are confronted by the tentacles. Meanwhile, the mayor has all the sewer entrances sealed shut with cement. When Ash wakes up, Misty, Togepi, and Bulbasaur are there, and perfectly fine. Turns out the monster is just a larger Bulbasaur with a jingly bell collar.
I knew it!
And then there's a symbol on the collar, and it matches the mayor's symbol. Strangely, the sewers being blocked with the cement causes structural problems and water gets backed up. And we see the mayor taking a bath, and water explodes out from where the water's supposed to come. And it turns out that's exactly where Ash and them also pop out. And so they flood right outside of the mansion out onto the street. Oh, and yeah, the mayor didn't care that Ash and co. were going to be trapped down there until next week, when he would finally remove the cement barriers. He's like, well, they shouldn't have gone down there. I told them to leave it alone. So he's not a very nice fella. So then we all learn that the Bulbasaur belonged to the mayor, and the mayor, as a child, sent it floating down into the sewer because he didn't like it anymore because it wouldn't evolve.
Mean mayor.
Very mean. The Bulbasaur lifts him up into the air, and the mayor tries to conceal himself since he's only wearing a towel because he was taking a bath. I'm not even sure where the towel came from. And there's people all around, so, I mean, he's putting on a show for the people down below. Pikachu and Ash's Bulbasaur take out the SWAT team, and the large Bulbasaur spins the mayor around and launches him into the air. Ping! And then he pings again somewhere else in the sky, and he comes crashing down through his statue. And so the statue's knocked over, has a big old hole in it, and the Bulbasaur gets to go work with Nurse Joy at the Pokemon Center. The officer Jenny leads the gang to the pier to catch a ferry to Trovita Island that is only a few minutes away, and Team Rocket is still trapped in the sewer. So they didn't blast off and ping, so we had to have the mayor ping.
Yep.
And now, we finally get to the third Orange Island gym in the episode Misty Meets Her Match. So they ride the ferry to Trovita Island, where Ash can challenge the next Orange League gym leader. They see a girl stuck in a whirlpool with her seal, and so Ash and co. need to help her. Some boy on the island is watching through like binoculars or something and sees Misty and Staryu jump into the water to rescue the girl and Pokemon and take her to Ash, who is on a Lapras. The boy sees Misty more closely and thinks she's great. Meanwhile, Team Rocket sees the twerps and try to pedal their sub toward them quickly, but they get caught in the whirlpool. The boy and his little gang of followers show up, and he hugs the little girl as it turns out to be his sister. He ignores Ash as he talks only to Misty for a minute and claims she's amazing. His entourage show up with flowers to give to Misty and a radio for music, and then he starts dancing with Misty. He wants her to stay for a while and train his trainers, since she's so good with water Pokemon. He completely ignores Ash again when Ash challenges the gym leader. The little sister helps get her brother's attention. Rudy is the name of the gym leader, and Rudy says he'll agree only if Ash can knock down all the targets on a boat ride. And so they all get on this boat and start going down, and Rudy isn't paying any attention to anybody else as he's flirting with Misty.
I don't think I really noticed his name the first time, but Rude is a good name for him.
Yeah. So Ash accidentally chooses Charizard, because he calls, I forget what he says, and he throws the Pokeball, but Charizard's the one that comes out, so he grabbed the wrong one. He needs to mark him, like Richie did. And Misty gets burned up by the Charizard, because Charizard gets in front of them and breathes fire, and Ash dodges, but it hits Misty in the back of the boat. She's not pleased. Meanwhile, the Magikarp sub pops up on the river, and they start their motto, but they're confused that they're not in the ocean, because that's where they were just a minute ago, before the whirlpool. Then they see the twerp, and still don't finish the motto. They say the target is right in their face, because Ash is the target. But then, a target drops down right in front of their faces, the targets that Ash is trying to knock down. And when this target is hit, it knocks down the tree that it was attached to, which sends Team Rocket blasting off again! Ding! This whole challenge felt very much like gym challenges to get to battle a gym, like in Sword and Shield, and even some Scarlet and Violet stuff, don't you think, Rosella?
Yeah.
Because, he's like, you can't challenge me until you do this challenge, and he had to do a whole thing. And Ash did finish the challenge, and so Misty actually smiled at his success, and Rudy notices her smiling at that. Then Rudy agrees to a match with Ash, which turns out to be an actual battle. The last two gyms were actually just more challenges to, like competing challenges kind of thing. Whereas this, he had to do a challenge to go to the gym battle, but it is going to be a battle. And they're all supposed to pick 3 Pokemon. Well, Ash is supposed to pick 3 Pokemon, and Rudy would use the same type Pokemon. So not the same Pokemon, but they would match types, like grass
So he
versus
doesn't
grass.
have to pick the same Pokemon, but he just has to pick the types.
Correct. So if Ash picks Squirtle, then he has to pick a water Pokemon or whatever.
But right now he's not even telling Rudy what Pokemon he's using. He just picks the 3 types.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing. Yeah, he just picks the types, and then they will both bring water Pokemon or whatever. Yeah, because they do, what are the types? There's going to be water, electric, and grass.
I was about to say water and electric, and either bug or grass, because I think I remember. Yeah,
Bug.
definitely grass.
Ash doesn't have a bug.
Grass.
Okay. All right. So the battle's going to be tomorrow, though, and so Rudy then takes Misty around his place to try and woo her. When talking to Professor Oak, Tracy shows a drawing he made of a possibly new Pokemon he found in the woods. And if we look closely and know anything about second-gen Pokemon, it's basically the top of an Elekid, the plug part.
But I think I'm the one who pointed that out because you weren't sure what it was right away, were you?
I thought it might be, but I wasn't sure, and yeah.
What's an Elekid?
It's the thing that evolves into Electabuzz.
So
it looks like a little Electabuzz, but it has 2 long ears, which are really just the like a plug for an outlet.
So you would plug something in, but it's got the 2 prongs that you would see on a plug-in.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Then at dinner, Rudy and Mari, his sister, enjoy a meal with Misty. Mari says she always wanted a big sister and wants Misty to be that big sister. Laying it on thick, Mari. Then Rudy takes Misty to a gym where music is playing and his great collection of Pokemon are dancing. He explains he trains them to dance, too. While dancing, he mentions to Misty that it would be great if she could stay forever, and Mari would love it. Misty seems uncertain. Then we cut to Team Rocket in their sub balancing on a large rock spike. After Meowth sneezes, they drop back down into the whirlpool. Team Rocket was having a real tough time this episode. It was funny that they kept popping up, though.
They always have a tough time.
Yeah, but most of the time it's like they're there and then they're gone for good. But this one, they just keep showing back up. And then it just doesn't go well. Like, I don't even know if Ash actually ever sees them. I don't think he does he?
No, I don't believe he
They
does.
keep trying to get there, and things that Ash does or is involved in, sometimes it's just the whirlpool or whatever, is what gets them, but he never actually interacts with them personally. That's actually pretty funny. I mean, it kind of was the same in the last episode too, except that they sort of interacted with them because they came around the corner and got blasted by wheezing smoke, but I don't know if they were, like, they heard them scream and he's like, was that who I think it was? But that was about it.
Yeah.
The next day, Ash, Rudy, and everyone take a floating platform to a battle platform at the top of a rock spire. They're to battle... I already mentioned this. So the same element Pokemon. So Ash starts with Pikachu, and it's against Rudy's Electabuzz. One of Rudy's entourage rides on a Pidgeotto or Pidgeot. I'm not sure which. I always have trouble telling.
A Pidgeot is bigger.
That's true. So it's probably a Pidgeot.
Yeah, Pidgeot is the one that you, I think, usually ride on.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, one of Rudy's guys is on the Pidgeot and works as the announcer for the match. Mari continues to work on Misty, like, trying to, like, hey, you should stay here, my brother likes you, things like that, while they watch from the floating platform. After the Pikachu Electabuzz battle, it's a grass Pokemon battle with Bulbasaur versus Exeggutor. Pikachu lost the Electabuzz battle, right?
I think so?
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, must have. So then Rudy has music play to have his Exeggutor start dancing around the battlefield and avoiding Bulbasaur's attacks. But then Bulbasaur puts Exeggutor to sleep. It puts Exeggutor to sleep.
Like with sleep.
Yeah, with sleep powder. Down the spire, Team Rocket is trying to, just like down in the water or whatever, they're trying to scale this big rock spire to the battle platform. But then Exeggutor plummets and knocks them back down into the water.
But Exeggutor doesn't quite make it to the...
Right. Bulbasaur catches Exeggutor and brings it back up. Now Ash and Rudy are tied. So the last battle is going to decide the match. And Rudy uses Starmie against Ash's Squirtle. And Rudy dedicates the victory he hasn't won yet to Misty, the girl who saved his sister and stole his heart. Misty seems conflicted. Then Rudy brings up the music again, and Rudy starts to dance, and so does Starmie. Then Starmie uses Thunderbolt, which is going to be good against Squirtle, so Misty shouts at Ash to win, but in her own way. I don't know. So yeah, Misty starts shouting that Ash needs to win, but she does it in a very, like, Misty way, where she, like, tells Ash he's being an idiot.
Well, like, and it was, like, a big moment, too, like, I'm with Ash.
Yes, Rudy and Mari are both surprised. She doesn't want Rudy to win. And Rudy realizes she wants him. And he doesn't say she wants him to win. It seems to imply something more romantic in nature.
Mm-hmm.
So then Squirtle uses Water Gun to get away from the Thunderbolt, which I love how, like, I love it when they use moves to, like, blast themselves around. Like, Green uses Blastoise to, like, fly around and stuff with the water jets.
Yeah.
So yeah, he uses the Water Gun to get away and ends up plummeting down off the platform, which seems like, well, Squirtle's still gonna lose then, and that means Ash loses. But then, Squirtle suddenly uses Hydro Pump to come back up, a new ability he has now learned during the battle. And he uses Hydro Pump against Starmie, which onslaughts a bunch of water at the poor Pokemon, and then throws in a Skull Bash to get the victory. That's 3 Orange Island badges for Ash.
Just one more.
Just one more, because we learned before that he was halfway there, so... And this one is the Spike Shell badge. Rudy gives flowers to Misty and tells her he knows she already has made her decision. Then he tells Ash that he's a very lucky guy. And Ash doesn't get it. Because he's only caring about Pokemon. Because remember, That's the most important thing in the world. It's more important than love. Remember, this kid is 10 years old and he's a boy, so just give him a break. Then the gang sails away on Lapras. And our next episode is Bound for Trouble. The group make it to an island that is known for supersized Pokemon. There's supposed to be a ton of fruit there. And sure enough, there is a basket in the middle of the road waiting for them. Misty thinks it is a trap and stops Ash from getting it, which makes sense. We learned from that samurai guy from a while back before the Indigo tournament, too. That's how they got trapped in a Team Rocket trap. There was fruit just laying in the middle of the road. So Misty's wise in thinking this.
Yeah.
Ash is angry about it. He's like, no, it's not. He just wants to go eat the fruit. But they don't let him.
So they're gonna go pick their own fruit tree.
Yeah. So then they go off the side of the road to a fruit tree that's right next to all of this. And as they get close to the fruit tree, and I think even grab a fruit, a pit opens up underneath and traps them. Oh, no, they didn't grab a fruit. An apple falls from the fruit tree after they fall in. And it turns out the fruit in the tree is fake.
Rocket was smart for once.
Misty was being smart, but somehow it would have worked better to let Ash be a fool. Team Rocket even says they used reverse psychology on him. Then Team Rocket sends out their Pokemon, so Ash sends Pikachu. Turns out Team Rocket has strange electric shield things that they now have, that they invented or something. And Meowth then buckles a thing around both him and Pikachu so that Pikachu can't get away. Because he's basically put like a belt around himself and Pikachu with like a wire that connects the two of them. Kind of like weird handcuffs almost, just giant ones.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, Pikachu still tries to shock him, but then Team Rocket just keeps putting up their little gauntlet shield electricity absorber things. And then Team Rocket runs off with Pikachu and takes off in their balloon. Then a Pidgeot swoops down and grabs the cord that holds both Pikachu and Meowth, carrying them off. Meowth asks Pikachu to help, and so Pikachu sends out electricity, which shocks only Meowth. And then, after some commentary from Meowth, then Pikachu zaps both Meowth and Pidgeot. And so that sends Meowth and Pikachu falling, and they fight in midair to see who gets to be the one to fall on top of the other one. Pikachu wins that battle. And then, once they're on the ground, Meowth and Pikachu can't seem to agree on which way to go. And Meowth isn't going to unlock them, so Pikachu just starts zapping Meowth, because Meowth doesn't have his little shields anymore. And so Meowth has to get in line and just do what Pikachu wants. The gang are looking for Pika on the ground, while Team Rocket flies around in their balloon to look for Pikachu and Meowth. Tracy... Oh, right, because I think Ash and them catch up to Team Rocket and find out that they got carried off or something. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we have to find them before they...
Yeah, so it's kind of a race. That's how they knew a Pidgeot took it, so they went looking for the Pidgeot nest or something. Tracy enlists the aid of Meryl and his sensitive ears. Since Pikachu and Meowth aren't getting along and Meowth keeps getting shocked, Meowth comes up with a new plan. He'll play nice and pretend to lead Pikachu to his friends. And so he's like, come on Pikachu, let's go this way. I'll help you get to your friends again. And then Pikachu zaps him again, because Pika ain't no idiot. Unlike Ash. Ash probably would have believed him. Meanwhile, Ash climbs up to the top of Pidgeot's nest, but Pidgeot shows up and knocks Ash back down. And since his Pokemon wasn't in the nest, it's back to looking around. Then Pikachu and Meowth run into a Rhydon and flee. They hit a dead end, and so Pikachu decides it's time to battle, and apparently its skin doesn't conduct electricity, so Pikachu can't hit it.
So annoying.
Since when did that stop Pikachu before? But okay. Then they come up with a plan, and Meowth tickles the Rhydon to open Rhydon's mouth, because, well, the skin protects it. There's no skin protecting it in the mouth. So Pikachu sends lightning into the poor Rhydon's mouth and fries him that way. Then it starts to get dark, and the two are hungry. They find an apple tree. This time it's a real apple tree, but there's only one apple in it. So they race for it, and Meowth almost gets it, but Pikachu pulls the rope that attaches the So Meowth falls down, and Pikachu gets the apple. But Meowth is looking so sad that Pikachu has pity on him and splits the apple, so they get to share it.
And he's like, do you really like that Pikachu is sharing? He's like, you're so nice.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it starts to make Meowth be like, oh man, I'm not treated this nice usually. Yeah, he's not used to that. And then we get a flashback of scenes of all the time he's been electrocuted by Pikachu. And he starts to think that maybe Pikachu isn't a punk, and is only trouble when he's with the twerp. But that's really backwards, because, I mean, he's being electrocuted because he's the bad guy trying to steal things. He's really not thinking this all the way through. It's not the twerp's fault, it's Team Rocket's fault that they're getting electrocuted all the time. So, he's taken a liking to Pikachu, so he tries to recruit Pikachu to Team Rocket. But by this point, Pika has fallen asleep. In the morning, the Pidgeot comes for them, so they flee, again. But the Rhydon is coming from the other way, so they're cornered. But then Ash jumps in, and Team Rocket arrives at the same time. Ash has Snorlax wrestle against Rhydon. Arbok pops out and takes on the Pidgeot. Arbok bites down on Pidgeot, and Snorlax mega punches Rhydon. Then we get a tug-of-war match.
That was Snorlax's workout for the day.
Yeah. So then we get a tug-of-war match between Team Rocket and Ash, as they're like trying to pull Pikachu, and they want Meowth and Pikachu. And then Team Rocket mentions a key to unlock them. Like, you don't even have like the key to unlock them, so you can't. Like, there's no point in trying to take them.
Because then they hold it out in front of them.
Right. So
So
Ash throws a Pokeball that hits James directly in the face, which I thought was funny, and it pops out Bulbasaur. Jessie throws in Arbok, and Ash has Pikachu battle the snake. Then James throws out Victory Bell, which gobbles up Arbok. So once again, the Victory Bell didn't eat James.
This is surprising.
Then Bulbasaur Vine Whips, and Team Rocket is tackled into their balloon and lose the key. Pikachu is free!
Yay!
But-
And then...
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when they go back to their owners or whatever.
What do you mean?
Like when... when Pikachu goes back to Ash and everybody, they're all welcoming him and
Oh.
love on him, and they're like so excited to have him back, and then Meowth goes back and they're saying, how dare you let him go, or whatever, and
Yeah.
aren't very nice to him.
Poor Meowth.
And Meowth basically looks jealous over Pikachu.
Yep. Maybe Meowth should be the one switching teams. But Team Rocket does have another plan, and so they float up and pop out some kind of large gun on their hot air balloon. So Misty sends out Psyduck! Haha! She tried to call it Staryu again, but it was Psyduck. So she tries to get Psyduck to use Confusion and send Team Rocket away. But the weapon is charging, and Psyduck is just staring confused. But then Togepi waves its little arms, and boom! The weapon self-destructs, and Team Rocket blasts off again! Ding! Tracy and Ash are confused, because it didn't look like Psyduck had used an attack. Misty seems to think it might have been Togepi, because she's already kind of caught on to this thing. Mm-hmm. Team Rocket then finds an apple in their new location that they crashed into.
One singular apple.
One single apple, and they all fight over it instead of being willing to share. And then in the midst of it, Jessie's like, I get the first bite, and eats the entire thing. And Meowth starts to miss Pikachu. Alright, and then we are on the last episode we'll be covering this week, Charizard Chills. And this one was, I believe, it came out after Pokemon 2000, but many people agree that the plot and the things that happen in this episode must take place before the movie, which is why we're covering it here. There are some that disagree and still think it belongs after, but I think I'm in the camp of those that believe that it came before, so we're putting it here. Alright, so, riding along Lapras again, the gang meet up with a boat that almost hits them, and then there's this funny interaction where Misty is mad at the boat guy, Tad is his name, who knows about Ash winning the Spike Shell badge, because he just went to the gym recently himself, right after Ash did. And then, when Misty loses it on Tad, he tells her not to be mad because it makes her pretty face look like a Tentacruel. Somehow Misty takes this as a compliment because she loves Tentacruel, And she tries to explain to Ash and Casey that some people in the world strangely think that Tentacruel are ugly. Ash correctly, I think, assumes and tells Misty that he thinks that Tad is one of those people. Which is probably the norm. Most people probably think Tentacruel are ugly. So that amused me.
They're not ugly, they're just not pretty.
Well, sure. Tad wants to battle Ash, and of course, Ash agrees. So they pull up to an island. Happens that Team Rocket is there as well. Surprise, surprise. Tad suggests a 2 versus 2 battle, and Ash agrees. Ash puts Pika in first, so Tad brings out Poliwrath, who was wearing some kind of belt that looks like a fighting tournament belt. He did earn it through a tournament for strong Pokemon. Ash still thinks he's got this, since it's a water Pokemon, and he's using Pikachu. But then Poliwrath uses Hypnosis against Pikachu, and then he Water Guns Pikachu into defeat. So Ash brings out Charizard! Misty and Tracy cannot believe it. Then Charizard... What?
I said bad choice.
Yep. Because then Charizard burns Ash, and Tad notices that the Charizard isn't trained, and that Ash can't control it. But Charizard goes and plays around. Tad is disappointed and decides to end the battle. After getting hit by the Poliwrath, Charizard swoops in to battle, because it doesn't like being hit, and so he's like, oh yeah, I'll show you. But this time it doesn't go well. Ash tries to tell him to do things, but of course Charizard does not listen, and he gets frozen up, and his tail flame begins to dim. And we all learned back in the Charmander episode, Charmander flame goes out on its tail, it dies.
Also, if Tad cares so much about Pokemon and stuff and how untrained they are, I don't think he would almost kill some of the Pokemon.
Well, they had to stop it. It was going on a rampage. So Ash frees Charizard's head from the ice by bashing it over and over. Tad leaves and says he'll gladly have a rematch when Ash learns to control Charizard. They build a fire for Charizard, and Ash keeps rubbing him until his hands are raw, trying to warm Charizard up.
Then he keeps rubbing him even when his hands are raw.
Correct. Pikachu helps. Charizard wakes up and notices and starts throwing a fit, but then Charizard faints as he's wounded and exhausted. Misty also joins in helping rub Charizard, and then she brings in a blanket. Eventually Misty falls asleep, and Tracy joins in. Charizard wakes up again and tries to breathe fire, but can't yet, so Ash tries to get him to lay down again and rest some more. Then we get a flashback to the episode where Ash got Charmander, and other episodes he was in, and then the Charmeleon, and then the evolution to Charizard. The flame on Charizard's tail grows brighter, and we get the emotional music again, like when Ash and them were trapped in the cave, and things like that, whenever there's like this big emotional moment of sacrifice, or maybe dying, and people are worried, and everyone falls asleep, but Ash keeps on going, and Charizard notices this. Then, when the sun rises, Ash did apparently finally fall asleep on top of Charizard, and Charizard feels better. His tail is blazing. And then when Ash does wake up, he finds that Charizard is sitting at the edge of the beach. It must have slipped out from under Ash and everything, just staring out at the ocean. But then something bursts out of the ground, opens up, and captures Pikachu. It's some new drill vehicle that Team Rocket is using. Tad notices something happened as well from the distance. Like, he's much further away, but he sees commotion going on up in the distance where Charizard was.
There was some sort of explosion.
Yeah. Yep. And, of course, Pikachu gets locked into a shock-proof box on this machine. With and it's like right in the front-ish area or whatever, so when it's like opened up or whatever, you can see him trapped there. So it's like he's on display. It's kind of weird. Oh, and just in case anybody was concerned, this drill vehicle, it's also pedal-powered. Everything's apparently pedal-powered around here. Like the submarines and everything.
They get exhausted. At least they get their leg workouts.
That's probably why they're so in shape still. So Ash runs for Pikachu, and Charizard flies by him and lets him get on his back. They fly through the tunnel that the machine is making, and then Charizard grabs the drill vehicle and lifts it back. He wants to use his flame... Oh, so yeah, they throw it through the tunnel. The vehicle is about to jump off somewhere else or dig into the ground again, or I forget what it was going to do. But Charizard grabs it, lifts it back over, and
I think it went underground.
Yeah, that could be what it was. I don't remember exactly.
It was like a drill vehicle, like you said, that digs down.
Mm-hmm. So Charizard wants to use Flamethrower, but listens when Ash stops him because he doesn't want Pikachu to get hurt, and has Charizard break the drill. Pikachu flies out, and Charizard catches the cage in his mouth and shatters that too. Charizard's kicking some butt now, and doing everything right, and not hurting anybody else. Team Rocket ain't done though. It pops out Saw Blades on their machine and knocks Ash and Pikachu down along with Charizard. But Charizard didn't get knocked out like the others did. And when he looked at his unconscious Ash, Charizard gets angry and uses a rage attack against Team Rocket, sending them flying. Bing!
Ding.
Misty, Tracy, and Tad catch back up with Ash, and it now seems that Charizard is ready to listen. Ash and Charizard agree to battle again, and they agree together. And it's Poliwrath as the opponent again. As they start the battle, we get the new theme playing over the battle. So, the theme for the Orange Islands. It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty cool, but I still like the other one.
Yeah, but I like how the song is playing with this battle, and I like this battle. It's a really good battle to watch.
Yeah.
And, of course, Charizard ultimately wins.
And this time, when he kept trying to swoop down and only use flamethrower like he did last time, he listened to Ash and didn't.
Correct. Just like with the drill machine. But, at the end, I forget what was said, but Charizard gets a little cranky and breathes fire at the gang again as they run off. So, while Charizard is much better and trained, he still has his little moments, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Which might explain one of the discrepancies people have about this taking place before the movie. And that is our episode this week. Except for one last thing. Well, and then the story after the credits, I guess. But Pokemon cards!
Yay!
Alright, I think we're all opening Temporal Forces today.
Yep.
Scarlet and Violet.
Mm-hmm.
I have some blue dog-like or deer-like antlered looking thing. I'm not really sure what this Pokemon is.
I've got the weird version of Suicune.
I have sort of the same thing as Shea. Sort of the same thing except more green and stuff.
Alright, Rosella, you go first.
Okay. I have an Electabuzz.
Electabuzz?
The basic one.
Hey, we were just talking about that earlier.
Yeah? Is it electric type?
Yes, it's electric type. Do I read the little?
No.
Bramblin, grass type.
Oh, Bramblin?
Yeah.
I think there's a grass ghost.
Bramblin. Well, it's grass.
Yeah, I know there's no ghost type in there.
Giraffage, psychic. Rosalia, grass. Sharpedo evolves from
Carvana, I think.
Carvana, water type. Metagross evolves from Metang,
Metang?
a metal type. Roserade evolves from Rosalia, grass type. Palafin evolves from Finzan.
Is that like the dolphin thing?
Sort of.
Okay.
Finzin is definitely a dolphin.
Yes. It's also a water type. Iron Boulder EX, which looks like all golden.
Ooh, an EX.
Look. Don't you dare.
Whoa! That is... It's all golden background. 3 stars for the rare factor. I don't know what that means necessarily.
It's just really, really rare.
It's a future type, Iron Boulder. Wow. And it's a fighting type.
Fighting. What?
Oh man, that is cool.
No.
Why does everybody get all the cool cards out of my packs except for me?
Excuse me, Mr.
Unlucky.
Excuse me, Mr. Entei.
Yes. And then I have Roaring Moon, ancient dark type, and it's cool. Like right there, it's super cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And then a basic water energy.
For all those waters that you pulled out. All right, Ruby, what do you get?
Okay. Hoot Hoot, normal type. I got Beldum, metal type. Heatmore, fire type. He's kind of cool. He almost looks like a mole-like guy.
Oh, I think he's an anteater.
Roly-Coly, fighting type. Rapidash evolves from Ponyta, fire type. Mudstale. It sounds like a town name. Mudstale. Evolves from Mudbray, so like almost a donkey-like thing. Fighting type. Siffermanix, code breaking. Future trainer supporter. Search your deck for 2 cards. Shuffle your deck, then put those cards on top of it in any order.
Cypher Maniacs code breaking.
Oh, Siffermanix code breaking. And like my maybe reverse holo is Ekans, dark type.
Ooh, Ekans.
He's in a, like, you use 1 energy and you can use poison blend. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused and poisoned.
Nice.
Seedot. Oh, it's kind of cute because there's a couple Seedot hanging off a tree in the background plus the one in the main center. Well, this is definitely a reverse holo, grass type. Roaring Moon, ancient, dark type.
Oh.
Does that stuff?
Oh.
Does it have the same cool thing?
Yeah, it does. That's what ancient is. Then grass type.
Nice, nice.
Grass energy.
Alright. I have a Rosalia, grass type. Cutie Fly, psychic type. Drillbur, fighting type. Ooh, Rellor, the grass type. It's the poop bug Pokemon.
Ew.
Dung beetle.
Yeah, the dung beetle. Fortress, metal type, evolves from Pineco. Full Metal Lab. It's a stadium. Metal type Pokemon. Both yours and your opponent take 30 less damage from attacks from the opponent's Pokemon.
Interesting.
Ooh, Golurk evolves from Golett, a fighting type. My reverse holo is a Pineco, which could evolve into my Fortress, I guess. Grass type. Another reverse holo is Bronzor, which I actually just recently got a shiny Bronzor in Pokemon Go. They're the kind of shield-looking thing.
They're supposed to be metal type.
I have a card in my binders that's Pokemon, except it's next to a sink.
I always thought Bronzor was supposed to be metal type,
Ooh.
but it's psychic.
Incineroar EX evolves from Torracat, fire type. It's only got 2-star rare, not 3-star like somebody's.
I got
full
like
art
nothing
thing.
star.
That's true. But yeah, Incineroar, I think it's the final evolution of Litten, Torracat, and Incineroar. So that's a starter from one of the gens. It's actually the one that me and Vavai caught a bunch of on Litten Community Day to get some shiny ones, which turn out white. And then I got a water energy, which is kind of funny because I didn't get any water Pokemon. And that's that. So, thank you all for listening. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at hunterfieldmanor@gmail.com. And if you want to listen to us other places, we are on YouTube at Hunterfield Institute, and we are on Spotify and at Amazon, I think, and Apple and all that. So go ahead and comment in those places if you wish, and like and rate us and subscribe, review, all that jazz. Click bells and follow and all the stuff. And next week we hope to have, or next episode, because things are a little spotty right now, we hope to have a bunch of us here to talk over Pokemon 2000, The Power of One, and the Pikachu short that goes along with it. And this all comes out before, like, these all came out before Silver and Gold, but we will be meeting a lot of Johto Pokemon.
What are Johto Pokemon?
Pokemon from the Johto region, which shows up in Silver and Gold.
Okay.
So you know you have the 151 Pokemon from Kanto?
Wait, there's 151.
151 more to see. Mew's the 151.
Ooh.
So, you know, like, Bulbasaur, Charmander, all them, right?
Yeah.
So then, each time we get new games, there's always a new region, like Paldea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Silver and Gold, that region is Johto.
Okay.
And so there's new Pokemon there. Like Marill and Snubbull and Doniphan. And the starter Pokemons for that one are Totodile, Chikorita, and...
Grookey?
No, Cyndaquil.
Ooh, Cyndaquil.
Yeah, you love Cyndaquil.
I was Cyndaquil for one of our Halloweens.
Yep. Yeah, when you were all Pokemon and me and Mom were the Pokemon trainers. Alright.
I should have been a Glacia.
Alright. Alright, so that is our episode this week, and yeah, come join us again for our talk over the movie, and we will catch you on the next route. Bye-bye.
Bye!
Part 9. Trouble Clefairy. Midori and Violet were running down through dark tunnels, trying to catch up to the bounding pink Pokemon that had nearly collided with Midori's head a few moments earlier. Mizu, the horsey, was wide-eyed as it clung to Violet's shoulder while the pale Eevee was rushing along just a few steps behind Midori. Violet stopped for a second, hands on her knees, panting.
Did we lose it?
Breathing hard, Midori ran by her. No, I can still see a faint glow. The girl looked as if she was about to say something, but then just nodded her head instead. She took a deep breath, pushed off her knees, and started running again. We're gaining on it, Midori shouted. We just need to... Whoa! Oh! Midori vanished from Violet's view, and V, the Eevee, made a complete stop and cried out for Midori. Violet skidded to a halt along the path, and it turned out to be just in time as her toes hung over the edge of a cliff.
Dad?
Violet called out in a sudden panic.
Dad!
She searched hard for any sign of Midori, but found she couldn't even see the bottom of the cliff. She opened her mouth to call out again, but then there was the sound of splashing. That was quickly followed by multiple Clefairy cries as about 3 little points of light came from different directions and descended down toward the splashing at the bottom of the cliff. The notes of the 3 creatures blended together into something resembling a song played on a music box. Violet? Midori's voice echoed upward to the girl, sending a wave of relief through her. Violet, are you... Hey, knock that off! Quit pulling on my ear, you... There was more wild splashing as it sounded like Midori was having a conflict with the 3 Pokemon.
I'm up here, Dad. Are you okay?
Ow, knock that off! There was a slap, and the notes of the Clefairy melody were interrupted as one let out a sharp yelp. Yeah, I'm okay. If these blasted Clefairy would stop poking and prodding me, I'd be a lot better, though. There was a little more splashing and Clefairy chirps. That's right, I'm talking about you, you pink punk! A moment of no sound followed, and then, oh no. There was a lot of splashing and thrashing and angry Clefairy noises that sounded like the same music box song as before, but played way too fast. V pricked up its ears and cried out down toward Midori. Then, with a look of determination, V leapt off the cliff and sailed down toward the bottom to fight off the Clefairy. One of the Clefairy clearly got hit by the plummeting Pokemon. Taking the opportunity V's surprise attack gave him, Midori shouted up toward Violet. Try to lure one of the Clefairy up there to you. This might be your best chance of catching one.
But what about you? It sounds like they're drowning you down there.
Don't worry about me, sweetheart. I'm well protected. There was a flash of light, and Midori shouted, You're up, Luckwing! The screech of a Zubat pierced through the dark.
Right. He has 2 Pokemon with him now, so it's 3 versus 3.
Violet thought to herself.
And if I can lure one up, then he has the advantage down there. But how do I get one to come up here? I doubt taunting it will do anything.
Then Violet felt Mizu shift around on her shoulder. She slowly turned her head to look at the horsey as it slowly turned to look at her, and their eyes met. Violet smirked, and Mizu looked like it could have been smirking on the inside.
Mizu? Bubble.
The horsey sprayed bubbles down the cliff, and Violet heard some snap as they collided with something. She hoped it was one of the Clefairy and not Midori or either of his Pokemon. It didn't take long to find out, as one of the faint glows down below started coming closer. It shot up toward Violet with a very mischievous smile. The girl jumped away and landed on her side hard.
Ow!
Mizu had jumped off the girl's shoulder at the last moment and shot another bubble attack at the Clefairy.
Mizu, dodge!
The horsey darted to one side as the Clefairy tried to strike again. Then, apparently frustrated by its own failure to connect with Violet and her Pokemon, the Clefairy turned and stared at the two and started ticking its hands back and forth. It started slow at first, but as it picked up speed, the pink Pokemon began to glow.
What are you? Oh no. That must be Metrodome!
The Clefairy grinned widely, and it made the normally cute creature look almost demonic.
Mizu, quick, hit it with...
But it was too late. The Clefairy was already glowing so bright. It let out one small musical cry which indicated that whatever move Metronome was going to conjure was happening in that moment. And then the Pokemon was gone, and suddenly reappeared on the opposite side of Mizu. The Clefairy had teleported. It took that opportunity to swing at the horsey and clobbered Mizu in the head. Mizu returned fire with another bubble attack, and not wanting to take a chance that the Clefairy would flee or use Metronome again, Violet grabbed a Pokeball and tossed it at the creature. The Pokeball smacked the Clefairy right in the kisser and popped open. A different kind of light enveloped the Pokemon, and it performed its second disappearing act. Right into the Pokeball. The red and white sphere snapped shut, and the little indicator light blinked red. The ball wiggled. The light blinked red again, and there was another wiggle from the Pokeball.
Come on, come on!
To be continued.